Welcome into WagerTalk TV. I am Drew Martin, joined by Matt Joseph and Tony Finn from Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. We're talking NFL playoffs, wild card round, middle game on Saturday. We got the LA Rams at the Seattle Seahawks. We're seeing Seahawks -4, 42.5 the total here. Matt, coming to you first. We got a rematch. NFC West, kind of, I guess you could call them rivals, especially playing in the playoffs now. What are you thinking here, Matt?
Well, as we've kind of talked about before we did this video, I mean, anything on this game, you have to find out about Cooper Kupp. And it looks like he's not going to play. We don't know for sure yet. He is the slot receiver, a guy that provides a lot of comfort for whoever the quarterback will be, whether it is Jared Goff. And if Jared Goff plays, how will he have, it's been about 12 days or so coming off the thumb surgery. How will he look? I mean, John Walford, the bad part about the game that they just played is that there is some film now on John Walford. You could at least go and entering that game last week, say, well, I don't know too much about him. Let me go watch what he did in Wake Forest. Let me go watch what he did in some of those extraneous football leagues. Well, now that the film is out, and not only that, it's the same opponent. So the deception that you could have had with him is now gone should Walford play. I mean, it really comes down to the Rams defense. Jalen Ramsey versus DK Metcalf is a huge matchup in this first contest between these two back in November. Metcalf had only 2 catches for very little yards. He had 6 catches in this game last week, but of course they weren't effective catches. DK Metcalf is a huge guy that when it comes to breaking long catches and taking things away from other people. So it really comes down to this secondary. The Rams secondary is really strong against these Seattle Seahawks wide receivers. Russell Wilson has had struggles at times against the Rams. It'll be really interesting also, the Carroll versus McVay matchup. Who will make what adjustments after last week's game? You have to probably give the edge to Carroll in terms of the head coaching matchup in this situation. But with these injuries still outstanding, it's hard to put a play on Tuesday.
The coaching advantage to Pete Carroll. He was successful both in college and the NFL. Like you're bringing up the Wake Forest there, mid-major Matt, with talking about Wolford. Tony Finn, hey, let's get you in here. We're talking Rams, Seahawks. What are you thinking? Lay the 4 with the Seahawks, Tony?
Well, if I stay and stand behind what I said in our last video, that the days of defense being the championship unit on a team, defense doesn't win championships anymore. You have to be able to score. I find this game pretty interesting. Because if that's the case, then the Rams are probably, and they shouldn't be the favorite, right? If there's an offense here that's going to be high powered or explosive or have the ability to score it well, it would be Wilson and the Seahawks. However, I think all 3 of us probably supported the Rams at some point this year, and we probably all supported the Rams because they were the most balanced team in the NFL. Balanced typically brings it's not good for the eye. Balance on offense, like the Rams exhibited with the defense they had, it's just not fun to watch. It's boring. It's grinded out 3 yards in a cloud of dust, and basically pressuring the quarterback and making that offense, that unit, in their backfield and making the quarterback uncomfortable. The Rams can do that. The Rams have also had Seattle's number. Let's look at how in past games. Let's just even go back a couple of years. Wolford wasn't part of that Rams formula, but I like Wolford. Listen, Wolford's one of those guys that isn't going to probably put you in a lot of jeopardy. He's smart. He knows who he is. He's been with McVay and with Goff. And truly, there's this misconception. There's this myth that McVay and that team were the second coming of the greatest show on turf when the Rams were in St. Louis and under Vermeil. It's just not the case. They depended on a running back then who was the best at that time, Gurley. And now they have a pair that are pretty good. I'm going to have to say that I was shocked to see this number come up at 42. I thought that was a little low, but after digging deep and looking at what we're facing here, this may be that game where the defense does win the game. And don't sleep on the Seattle defense. Since they've gotten healthy, they have been much better in the second half of the season, especially if Jamal Adams, who did suffer a little bit of an injury last week in Week 17, if I'm not mistaken, is healthy and ready to go. It's a toss-up. I really don't have an opinion here, but if I'm going to lean one way, I'll lean to the home team. I like Pete Carroll, as you guys do.
In mid-major Matt, just real quick, finishing up in conclusion, if it is Wolford or if Goff goes maybe not 100%, and I get the fact that they are kind of keeping it hush hush with maybe a strategic advantage here, do you think it changes the line maybe 1, 2, 3 points at all with the change at the quarterback?
I would think that a lot of that's baked in already. I would think that if it's a change, it's minimal, and it depends on how much of the change it is. I would like Seattle if it's Wolford because the mystery is gone with him. We saw what he can do last week, and now he's a different quarterback, and people now could see that he's a bit of a runner more. So I think that'll be interesting to see. But I do not see this line moving as much as we think.
All right, good stuff from Mid-Major Matt and Tony Finn. Check them out at Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com. Also, guys, check it out at the bottom of your screen now for just $199. You get 30-day all-access pass. Favorite handicapper of your choice, Tony and Matt being great choices there, both good at Sports Memo and WagerTalk.com.